Hey everyone, this is Cameron, the co host and editor of Renegade Animation on renegadepopculture.com. If you like what we do, please give us a like, a follow, and a rating on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to us. We are everywhere where podcasts can be found. If you can, consider supporting our Patreon. That way we can keep doing what we love, and that's talking about the wild world of animation and the nonstop release of anime. And now, on with the show.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me, as always, is the animation guru himself, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And today we are talking about one of our favorite shows from spring 2025's anime season. Rock is a Lady's Modesty.
So, we've talked about this already like twice now, where the anime season, like the releases of this year, if we're only counting the new releases, not the returning shows, have been underwhelming. And it really doesn't help when, the summer season's about to start and it is stacked upon stacked with returning shows that are like, oh wait, a lot of these are killer, like Dan Dan Dan, Kaiju number 8, My Dress Up Darling, and so on. And for some reason, Rent a Girlfriend is coming back. So it has been hard to find like a genuinely enjoyable and good like new anime. And I'm not just talking about original shows. I mean like a good anime that is not a returning show for like a second, third, or fourth season. Or the spring season was like really just cementing that stance. And even though I am aware of more interesting titles in the summer season coming out and ones that are extremely hyped, it is still the fact that I don't want to walk into summer and leave with only 5 recommendations. I'm sure that's not going to happen, but still, you know.
Now, I hear you. Ever since the first one of those like season impressions that we've done, I've become far more critical of things that I enjoy. And one of my big criteria, especially the last couple seasons, is I want shows that have a strong identity. Not just a name that everyone recognizes, but it has to have something to say. It has to have a unique voice. And this show definitely has everything that I'm looking for.
That's the thing. And whether it's because of editor like shenanigans or executive meddling, or the fact that some manga authors just don't really have the juice in them to really get a really fun and interesting show or story out of their releases. The fact is, with so much anime coming out these days, you really have to be distinct. You have to have a voice. And just because of how good to okay to lackluster this year has been, depending on how you look at it, Rock is a Lady's Modesty, which is based off of the manga by Hiroshi Fukuda, and which was adapted into an anime directed by Shinya Watada, written by Shogo Yasukawa, and produced by Bandai Namco Pictures, and then brought over to the States by Sentai Filmworks, which they just recently announced that this anime is getting a dub. Yeah, so hopefully this increases the popularity for the show, because with how it ends, it's like it's not over. There are still threads and story beats that need to be explored and adapted into form. And I know people are going to be like, just read the manga. And it's like, okay, maybe I will, but I also like watching anime. So I know sometimes some anime adaptations, like apparently Go Go Loser Ranger season 2 was kind of a mess, and like that can happen where like the next season or so is just a bad adaptation, but still, anyway, the point is Rock as a Lady's Modesty stands out from the crowd and is not just an edgier Bochi the Rock, which I know some people are probably going to compare and contrast to because these last few years we've gotten a lot of female anime girls form rock band shows. There's Bochi the Rock from Cloverworks, which is so good. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's the girls band Cry anime that everyone was like, "What the fuck? You're not bringing it over?" And then Crunchyroll was like, "Okay, sorry, we brought it over. Don't worry, we brought it over like months later." And now that we have Rock as a Lady's Modesty, and I haven't seen Girls Band Cry yet, but it's cartoony CGI animation makes it stand out on top of what is probably going to be a good story. I haven't seen it, but the fact is, each of these shows, while having similar premises, have an identity. Bochi the Rock has a lead character who is so anxiety riddled that the animation style changes every time to show her anxiety and antisocial nerves breaking down on her. Rock is a Lady's Modesty combines both a nuanced story with just enough trashy anime-ness to really stand on its own. Because I know sometimes when we get like these boy band pop idol shows and what have you, they all turn into, pop idol industry propaganda, essentially. Like there's no real distinction between them, and good animation can only take you so far. And or the hope that otaku and whatever find the girls cute enough to buy the merchandise when it's like, yeah, okay, they're cute, whatever. The story and their characterization suck.
That's why
And
I love this show so much, because while I'm sure there is some of that factor in like the success of Bandmade, which is the band that did all the motion capture for these characters. If you've ever seen their live show, like even just like clips on YouTube, they know how to rock. They are awesome.
well, they also did the opening song, and which is also just a killer tune. The opening song is Ready to Rock by Bandmade, and even the ending song, If It's Not a Dream, Then What Is It by Little Glee Monster, is equally good. But you may be asking if you've never heard of this show, because it got pretty much lost to the wayside, maybe because of Sentai Filmworks and or just the fact that a lot of the good returning shows during the spring season just overshadowed every new show, especially Windbreaker season 2. Like, I know I'm gritching about the fact that returning shows are taking over and such, and that's something we can talk about at a later time on its own episode. Windbreaker season 2 is darn good. Just a great property, a great story, and such. But let's talk about Rock as a Lady's Modesty. So, it's about Lalisa Suzunomiya, a student at a prestigious all girls academy. She strives to be the best, and she wants to be the like top maiden of the school. In a school where it's like, you gotta curtsy, you gotta learn how to drink your tea and have your snacks, and to look elegant and beautiful, ladylike. Until she runs into Otoha Kurogane, who privately plays the drums and essentially rock music in a empty room where nobody knows where she is or hears her. And this awakens Lalisa in a way that she wasn't ready for, in a means of using rock and roll to relieve oneself of stress, of the problems of the world around them, and in a very unsubtle way, using rock music as a sexual release. Yeah, this is the part of the show that's trashy, but it's not as trashy as you would think it is. This show is unapologetically queer, very like hint hint. Nobody in the main core four are straight, and it has some light fandom S&M kind of moments, especially with how Lalisa sees herself compared to the other bandmates, especially with Otoha and Tamaki, who like add in more flavors into it. But the real drive of this show is the fact that Lalisa has been having to sacrifice everything for who she is to reach the top of this fancy pants school of hers while tampering down everything of who she is. She's losing her own identity in a society where women are supposed to be this one thing. It follows her everywhere. It's not just at school. Her home life is also very like
Suffocating.
she and her mom married someone new, and the mom is extremely manipulative and gaslighting about how her daughter and her younger stepdaughter react, walk, talk, and show off who they are in the house and in the outside world and at the school. Because really, just worst parent of the year competition here with this and that one anime where the dad was like, by the way, son, none of these girls are your actual blood siblings. So bye.
Yeah, those two are currently in the lead because even in the eyes, whenever the mother's like, so you're going to give up all your hopes and dreams for the most superficial reasons, right? Right?
It would be a shame if you picked up that guitar or that you wanted to put down that violin, because we wouldn't have this house if you were still playing that guitar. Don't you want to be a prim and proper lady? And it's very gross. It's like, don't do that to your own daughter, man. I mean, like, yeah, I'm not a parent, but it's just common sense. Don't emotionally abuse your children because you want to live in this house. If you're on the constant threat of getting kicked out because your daughter plays electric guitar, we don't even see the husband in this show. I don't think we've seen him once.
I think at most we see like a silhouette, but that's about it.
It's like, it's not really even the point because he's non-existent in the whole plot. And yet it's like, if he's threatening to be like, if I see one bit of rebellion, of rebel rousing, ne'er-dwelling, you are on the street. It's like, this guy sucks. Money can't solve everything, man. There's a reason why you haven't seen a happy billionaire. Let's just say that. When Lalisa finds release with Otoha playing guitar against her drums, it is like relief. Extremely like, yeah, we're going to relieve our stress and problems of the world with music and the unsubtle sexual awakening of everything in the music. I mean, you could say it's not there if you don't if you want to be in denial about it, but when the visuals become literal, the subtext becomes context. Not much you can do about it, buddy.
Yeah. It's like they took the subtlety sledgehammer that we brought up in our Neon Genesis Evangelion reviews and broke down the entire point of this show.
It's a constant battle of dealing with people who may be more successful or more popular in their lives, but are also extremely fake, having to hide their true selves behind a superficial persona. Like, it's amazing how it's like Otoha is like, oh, I'm a prim and proper lady. But then when you screw up on the drums and stuff, she is just, or playing music, she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you piece of shit? Like, your guitar playing sucked. Or like when Otoha and Lalisa play with that lounge music group and actually elevate them and be in an amazing performance, while this guy who is this apparently famous singer who has 2 albums and whatever, it's just like, I looked down on you because I didn't think y'all would amount to anything substantial, but you proved me wrong, so here's my card. Lisa is just like, fuck you. You do not get to talk down on us while you give out one of the most soulless performances I've ever seen. We're gonna rock out with our cocks out, and you should too, you limp dick motherfucker. The girls in this show have extremely foul mouths, and that's part of the appeal. We talked about this with K-pop Demon Hunters. It is very good to start writing more interesting female characters. And by that, I mean, like, anime and just media in general need to stop thinking, oh, well, this lady has to be likable so the audience can connect to them.
No, fuck that.
So they have to be boring, like chastising and very pure in like a very manipulative, creepy way. Because like if they swear, that means that they have personality and edge to them. That makes them unlikable. There's a difference, like a huge ocean-wide difference between rambunctious, chaotic, horn dog little gremlins and being a loud, obnoxious assholes, which that's what people think is going to happen. You're going to be the latter instead of the former, when the reason why people love K-pop Demon Hunters is because the women in that movie are lively, entertaining. They have their tropes and archetypes, but they have distinct identities as characters, which is something you can't say with a lot of anime, which is really funny considering the fact that anime is more willing, as usual, to have female characters, but are also constantly sanding down the edges so they are cute, quote unquote, quirky, to be as plain Jane as possible. When if you tried to do this with Rock as a Lady's Modesty, it would take out all of the spice in this meal. Because you have the quiet dominatrix style, like personality of Otoha. You have the more gender fluid, like romantic, soft, kind-hearted Tina Isami, who plays the keyboard, or you have the extremely strict but also really wants to be insulted and degraded by Otoha, Tamaki Hiraya, who, like, her reveal of like her tough love approach to Tina is understandable, even if it doesn't really work in that regards. But like the punchline of Tamaki is like she goes up to Lilisa and Otoha and being like, the only thing I want in life now is to be degraded and talked down by you two. And then Otoha does, and Tamaki is just like, yes. Degrade me, talk down to me, step on me. Like, they all still have to hide who they are, like, behind whatever like persona they put out. Like, we saw that near the end of this season with Tamaki being like, oh, I'm part of this tea ceremony. By the way, Lilisa, if you say anything about this, you're fucking dead.
I love that reveal. Like, she comes in wearing a wig and a completely different outfit, but it's like, yeah, we know what you're doing.
And it's interesting because even though I understand maybe some people wanted them to lean more into the trashier aspect of the show, like with the fandom, the fan service, and such. It is very much downplayed. Like, it's funny. I wouldn't really call this a trashy anime, like in the sense of like the 100 Girlfriends or something like that, where it is unapologetic about its fan service. Rock is a Lady's Modesty wants to have those moments, but it picks and chooses when it does those moments.
It's like they do that more for flavor rather than it being the entire meal. I think that's what I ultimately liked about this is just the animation every time that the band performs is always like firing on all cylinders. But also they are really careful with when to make more explicit references like during each musical sequence.
Yeah, you get a few boob jokes because Tina has to hide her more voluptuous figure because of how she comes off. But that she is not just boob jokes. Really, there are only like, I would say, two of them.
Yeah, two
Like
at
the
most.
reveal, and then when the other rival girl band who are trying to get Tamaki are just like, damn. And then that's it. Otherwise, okay, maybe three, just how when Otoha was just like, you were jiggling and bouncing around when you were having a good time, and it was just delightful to watch. And it's just like, okay, okay, Otoha, okay, calm down. But it is nice that the objectification is not the sole reason you want to watch this show. Because, like, well, depending on how the world works, hentai and porn are a thing. We don't need that to be the driving force for anime, which is so funny how ecchi has still survived, but mostly because every once in a while you can find a good ecchi series where it doesn't forget that, oh wait, these are characters. You want to, give a shit about it and have a fun story, or at least a good enough story and scenarios to where the cheesecake is not the only thing on display. With its focus more on character building, it's really nice because we watch so many isekai and fantasy shows where there is no like actual character, or it's like the most boring thing you can do, or like it's like trying to make a copy of Pong. It's like you can't really make Pong better. Pong is Pong.
Yeah.
And that's why like isekais that keep getting seasons made of them keep going instead of crashing or burning out after season 2. Like they might have a strong install base of like people coming in for it, but when the second season comes around, it has apparently shown that the fans, quote unquote, and viewers don't actually come back. It's very rare for an isekai to really keep, what's the word, its retention hold on its viewership.
Yeah. If anime doesn't have retention in its second or third season, well, if it doesn't have retention in its second season, then chances are slim it's going to get a third season.
I mean, like, yes, isekais are very popular. I understand the escapist fantasy of them, but with how many come out, why should I care? What is making me care? There's a reason why I care more about Shangri La Frontier and the Faraway Paladin over, I don't know, whatever boring isekai that has a premise that sounds like something similar to another and then doesn't do anything interesting with it. But anyway, with Rock as a Lady's Modesty, it might have like a very standard, form the band, have a okay first outing, and then really crush it the second time. But it is really a story about these four girls who are wanting to have their voices heard and to push back against society standards. And I think that's just what's so amusing about it. And I've said this in the the spring anime season one. If you ask me if this is a show about four girls who form a band to rebel and yell and play music to slap the patriarchy society and how they portray women and how they think they should be, or is this a show about unsubtle queer context about women using music as a sexual release? Yes, it's both kind of shows. It's like, I'm sorry if it just seems like we're ramming this in, but it is so important to have an identity. I know what this show is about. I can tell you what these characters are like. Even like the younger stepsister who is like, "Oh, I'm prim and proper, but I don't like that my life has been turned upside down because I now have a stepsister and she just isn't who I want her to be." Goes through her own arc of like, wait a minute, this is really cool. There's a reason why this show really caught on with us, at least as animation critics and animation fans.
Yeah, and Alice's arc, even for me, was probably the most surprising because I thought she was just going to be a pretty one-dimensional character. She's just going to be the stepsister who doesn't get along with Lisa, but her breakthrough episode is it's the one where Lilisa and Otahag do that performance with the jazz band. That's when she really like turns a corner. I'm like, oh, there's more going on here.
Like, there's more to life than being a prim and proper lady, because that school sounds like a nightmare and a half. Because, like, we expect the women from this school to be exquisite ladies of rich snobbery, marry rich, and to donate back. And it's like, that's extremely fucked and pretty much mentally mess up, I think, a lot of those students there, if that's what they're expecting to do, which is already very like conservative coded,
Mm.
which, yeah, that unfortunately does happen. It's like the show came out at such a good time, especially with right now, with what's going on in the world right now. It's a mighty rebel yell to push back against the people who are saying, hey, we want you to be this and only this. And this show and its characters are giving literal middle fingers to people who think otherwise, like who think they should stay in their place. And it's just timing. It's a show that was needed. And the animation is so good. While it does go through a lot of the motions of like where's the budget going, and the budget obviously went into the CGI motion capture performances, which, yes, that is fine. I am okay with that. Like, between the main characters and having those moments of like that, it's like when you watch Blue Giant, and that one moment from like a guy coming into a bar and hearing the main characters play jazz for the first time, they are hit with that wave of euphoric feeling of like, wait a minute, I get it. I finally get it. And that's where a lot of the animation budget went into, because, yeah, I don't think it would be easy to animate the girls playing the music and such by hand in 2D and such, especially with animation production pipelines.
They went the right route in terms of like how they animated the musical performances. And I'm glad that I'm just happy that Bandmade was involved with this because, like I said earlier, they are awesome. But I also like they're not just doing the performance capturing, but they also are like actually playing the music and creating the soundtrack. So it was just a perfect package.
I mean, it makes sense to get someone like Bandmade. If this is rock and roll, I don't want to see a pop idol group. Like, I want to see real cool rock and rollers, and Bandmade are definitely that. And you can tell that they had the money to get them and such to not only do the motion capture, but the opening is a banger and captures the whole vibe of the show perfectly. And the motion capture, like the CGI, which can always be like a mixed bag when it comes to anime. Sometimes it can look fine, sometimes it can look like utter trash because of the constant issues that the anime industry is plagued with. Where, right now Toei is still thinking, you know what, we could use AI that will solve everything. And it's like,
Nope.
just treat your damn animators better. And that's an industry wide, worldwide problem. Like, man, that's just how it is. But I like that the show doesn't really give up on the fact that there are people in the world who will not understand the struggle of sacrificing everything that you love to be someone who is like more quote unquote accepting to society. Like, and I mean this in the sense of like the context of the show. Lalisa was very much someone who loved rock and roll because of her dad, and obviously something happened to her dad. I think either died or something, and she was forced to give up everything to be what her mom, what her stepdad, what society wants her to be. And it's compelling stuff. I like these four characters. Sure, I think Tina and Tamaki get the least amount of development. Though, well, Tamaki probably gets the least in terms of all three because Tina's whole thing is that she wants to find something that's her own because everything that she's gotten in life, whether it's modeling or just being like, whoa, look how prim and proper they are. They're so great. And they got those androgynously charming looks. And it's like, okay, well, thanks, but I want to have something that's for me.
She's dealing with that, but also has to overcome self-esteem issues. Like, she definitely throughout this anime is learning to find her own voice, gain her own confidence. And I think she ultimately finds that with this group, which makes the last performance of this show just the most satisfying.
Oh man, that last performance was great. Tamaki is the only one I would say that gets the least amount. Well, it's funny because she's introduced the same time as Tina, but is not given, at the very least, a whole lot. Some of it's more implied development, it's not outwardly told. Like she loved her dad's performance, or I guess that was her dad's like rock music performance, and why she takes it so seriously because like rock and roll is in a weird, not fully dead spot, but kind of dead zone area in some areas of the world, especially with like America right now, where rock music is pretty much dead. Like
At
it's
least,
mostly pop idols, and I'm not saying this to shit on pop music or anything. I like a lot of pop music, but when's the last time we had like a really good rock and roll band? And I'm not talking about heavy metal or something niche and not hitting the wider public. I mean like something that didn't really turn into like pop rock, like what happened with like Imagine Dragons and such.
yeah, that's the thing. It's been at least like I want to say either like 15, 20 years since rock has had any real presence in the mainstream.
Like she just cherishes it because it is like in a weird spot. So she wants to make sure that through her own tough love, Tina knows that like yes, you were told through your life how amazing and how much of a princess you are, but in the real world, that's going to suck. you're not going to get that kind of support and platform throughout your whole life unless, money talks, bullshit walks, and all that jazz. But I do like her. At least the punchline of she likes to be berated by Otoha gives her more of a character and such, even though she might get the least amount of fan service stuff. Like, I think out of all of the four girls, or at the very least, she gets the least amount of fandom fan service and stuff. Really, the only part that you could argue is kind of limp about the show are the two rival bands. Like the first group, which Tamaki was playing a part of, and then decided, like, no, screw you, I'm not going to play with you. And sure, I'll play this bet of if we lose, I'll play with your band and what have you. They have cool designs, but their characters are a little flat, except for the one with pink hair, who is a little gremlin like character. And then the last minute antagonistic force of what is her name? Baka or Baku?
Bacchus.
The final roadblock in this show's first season, and hopefully it is just first season so we can get more of this, is a male rock band who are full of like very typical male anime archetypes, but instead of made like complex, flawed, and interesting, they are one note, which is the point. But it would have been more fun to see them get a little more nuance in their performances and such. But I understand the point of this. This was less a like, oh, these are going to be great returning characters. I mean, who knows? Maybe they do in later chapters, but they are there because Lilisa and her group want to perform again in a battle of the bands. And unfortunately, the place where they played previously is like, yeah, no, we don't have anyone you can play against. And then just so happens that this boy group comes in and are the biggest assholes. Like, even like the nicest guy, the older brother of the crew, is like so passively smug and condescending.
The only person in that group who is really at all a decent human being is their manager or manager, who
ex-manager now.
Yeah.
Because the leader of the band is like one of those loud, angry boys who is just an asshole and threatens violence. And then there's the cold, calculated asshole, and then there's the I'm chipper and quirky. That means I'm likable asshole. They're just assholes, and that's the point. They are the lowest of the low that are the only band that will compete against Rock Lady, as we find out is the band's name. And it is amazing to watch them flame out. It's like, our band has 20,000 followers. And it's like, oh, that's cute. That's very cute. Compared to influencers these days touting like millions of followers and what have you. And they find out that they can't even lose properly. They get out there, they find out that their horde of female fans are like, that first band was really killer, like dynamite stuff. And they quit, and like this boy band quits halfway through a song. It's like, come on, you guys. If you can't handle some harsh criticism or, slaps to, from reality, you're not going to make it far.
and my favorite part about after that is everything that Rock Lady criticizes them for is like everything that went wrong in their first Battle of the Bands.
They have no soul. They think they're just better than everyone. And they think they can just play whatever and they'll be like, oh, it's all good. And it's like, no, and I mean, you can use the metaphor of the Battle of the Bands as a means of saying why a lot of anime just fall flat. You're not grabbing the audience because you think that like, oh, we'll just give them another isekai or a harem show because that's what's popular. It's like, no, that's why it sucks because you're just doing the bare minimum. You're giving us a guitar without strings. Let's use that as a music metaphor. So,
Oh yeah, perfect.
like, that's what works about this show. It never steers away or goes off course with its story. It's overall very satisfying, especially when the younger sister stands up for the group and everyone realizes how just terrible and mean the boy group is and how they all find drive for it. And how like Otaha was like, well, we're selling out. That means I'm gonna quit after this performance. Lilisa gives her that drive again. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? You are not quitting. Like, just because we're now becoming more popular and knowing what the audience wants, it's like, please don't bail on it. Don't do that, man. Like, it has very good back and forward between all the characters and such. And just
Yeah,
any time they, like Lilisa and Otoha, bicker and gripe and yell at each other, it's just perfect because they're not doing it to be outwardly mean. They're mean, but it's also like a very tough love kind of way of they're not taking it as you're a terrible, shitty person. They're saying like your playing sucks. I know you can do better.
yeah, that's their love language, essentially.
Yeah, it's literal and metaphorical love language. And I like that the two other band members are just like not bothered by it. They're nonplussed by the fact that they yell at one another and all that jazz. It's like, okay, we get it. This is how they talk to one another. Alrighty then. Like, it's just so satisfying to watch a show like this from beginning to end and feel like I got a full story out of it. Even though there's still a lot left to go, they still want to compete at that big rock festival. There is plenty of story beats left on. Like, if this does get a second season, I'm sure they're going to like have Lilisa and her stepsister combat against the mom who is being extremely manipulative towards them. Or we just see more of like of Tina and Tamaki's arcs build up, and who knows what else we'll see with like if we get to see more of the story.
I'm very much looking forward to whatever they do next. I know as of now the manga is still going, so there's so much more story they could tell, but I'm also kind of curious like whether or not they're actually going to follow through with this band performing at the Fuji Rock Festival, because that would be a hell of an ending for this entire series.
Like, anime is ideal in a way that most shows are not. In like at least from the US, anime can work in general with just having one season and it's fine. Like, some premises are just good enough for one season. If they have more story, then cool. But like, say, Sleepy Princess and the Demon Castle, there's no need for there to be a second season of that show. Even though, like, spoilers for a 2020 anime that was really good, even if she does return to the castle, realizing that her friends, the Demon Lord's castle, are better than dealing with the hero who she hates to her very little core, there didn't need to be a second season. A show like Talentless Nana, one season, that's perfectly fine. I don't think there needs to be any more Evangelion stuff because the story's wrapped up. What else could you do outside of retreading that world's story? And what have you? Like, yeah, some anime result in possible potential story expansion, but not everything does. This is one of those where I feel like, yes, I want to see a season two. Will there be a season two? That's the bigger question.
That depends on you guys, because I don't want this show to fall by the wayside just because not enough people are aware that it exists.
It's like one of those amazing shows that get like a really good fan base down the line. And it really needs to have a bigger audience than it has. And the fact that like Sentai Filmworks is now doing a dub for it, it's like, oh gosh, okay. So good. I really love this show. I want there to be more of it. We can have multiple rock band style shows that have distinct identities behind them. That's, again, the most crucial thing. You're making an isekai, a shonen hype anime, a girls rock band show. Okay, fine. What's the key? What's the special ingredients? Why should I listen to you, like to this band, over a similar sounding band if you don't have a voice? I like these smaller episodes where we get to talk about these cool shows. And we will talk about some other shows that have wrapped up recently, like Lazarus will be down the line, but scheduling is kind of funky right now. So next time we're going to do like a mid-year wrap up of how we feel about theatrical animation so far, and sadly go through that the Hollywood Reporter piece talking about the whole Elio situation and just where theatrical animation from all over is at right now, and what we're looking forward to, and like for the rest of the year, and what we think could happen, and so on and so forth. So
It'll be an interesting conversation, but certainly a necessary one. But until next time, Cameron, where can everyone find you online?
you could find me on Blue Sky at Cam's Eye View. I have my own website called camseyeview.biz, where I review animated films and shows from around the world called The Other Side of Animation. I am also a contributor to Media Magpies, your next one stop shop for pop culture and media discussion and discourse. I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/camsiview. That's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterbox.com/Coach K42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Blue Sky at Renegade Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need to escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Animation. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.